Hey everybody, Matt here from Matt's Movies, Music and More, and my special guest Andrew, welcoming you to this week's episode of What Did You Think? You reached out pretty far then.
Yeah, trying to stretch as far as...
Well, like Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four.
Sort of.
Well, at least you tried. So, if you saw our last episode on What Did You Think, you'll know that we covered from the comedy genre, in which we talked about the 1992 comedy classic My Cousin Vinny, starring Joe Pesci.
That was an enlightening experience.
So to replace that on the next spin for the Twister Spinner, we have put in there a movie that is, again, anniversaries on this channel, I'm sorry. 45th anniversary this year, Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, like I've said before, one of those movies I haven't seen, so I ought to rectify that, so thank you, sir.
No problem. So, for today's movie, the movie Twister Spinner has picked has come from the drama category. So to replace this movie in drama, one of the questions that came up in our Q&A video recently was, were we going to cover any classic black and white movies? Well, you've got your wish, Andrew. The movie that we're going to be talking about on drama after this movie, when it comes up on the Twister Spinner, is the 1954 movie On the Waterfront.
Thank you.
Are you happy now?
We'll get to it when we do, but I have a particular reason for saying thank you for that movie.
No problem.
I need to correct a past sin for that.
But we did do a black and white movie before with Nebraska.
That doesn't count, Matt.
Okay, well maybe this one might do. So on with today's movie. So today's movie is the 1998 drama American History X, which is directed by Tony Kaye, and it stars Edward Norton, Edward Furlong, Stacy Keach, Fairuza Balk, and Avery Brooks as Dr. Sweeney. So, American History X. Had you seen it before it came up on the Twister Spinner?
I have not seen the full movie, but I'll tell you what. There was a class, a lecture in my film studies course that I'm sure you love me going on about all the time. It was a representation seminar or American movies of the 1990s sort of thing. It was definitely all about race and racism and that. And for that, in the middle of this class, they played a 10-minute scene from American History X, trying to briefly explain the premise and then playing the dinner table scene.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about there?
Yeah.
The whole thing, right up to the mother screaming, "I'm ashamed you came out of my body." And
Yeah.
I do remember the university I went to did attract different ethnicities and different races, and it was a very mixed race student group that I was with, and so it was very, I do distinctly remember it being very uncomfortable and awkward and silent after watching that very intense scene. And I think even one person said, we're supposed to feel sympathy for this guy. So I've seen a 10-minute bit, and I've always been curious about what the rest of the movie was like.
Yeah. So, I suppose it's probably time to get into the plot of this film.
Yeah, so it is Edward Furlong.
Edward Furlong, yeah.
So John Connor.
You're doing
no,
that again.
no. I did that joke a few episodes back in Brainscan. I wore it to death. No, this is a serious movie, dramatic movie that deserves the respect.
But you might get your names mixed up here because it looks like the family's names, all the letters begin with D.
D, so I have to be a bit careful, but I think Edward Furlong is Danny Vineyard.
Yeah.
Vineyard.
Yeah, Vineyard.
Is a boy,
young teenager, I'd say.
Young teenager, and I better be careful about how I do this, because this movie is presented in a non-linear way.
What does that mean exactly?
Out of sequence, so it may start in the middle and then have the beginning and then the end.
And how is that shown on camera?
Through black and white flashback sequences.
So the movie is in colour, but it has black and white
showing
flashbacks.
So I hope I get this in a sequential order that you can understand. That is the younger brother in a family and his older brother, Derek Vineyard, Edward Norton, is the head of the family or the man of the house. He's also a card-carrying full-blown racist, because the father was a firefighter, was killed by a black drug dealer years before, and because of that he's had himself instilled a sense of anger and rage about all black people, all ethnic people in our neighborhood, Venice Beach, California, are just no good migrant, penny pinching, welfare stealing people. He uses very extreme language that I'm being very careful not to use here. But he's also very eloquent and quite charismatic. He's got a swastika tattoo on his chest, and he's full of eloquent arguments about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so much so that he has attracted the attention of local racist Cameron, Stacy Keach, to the extent that he has become his second in command, his right hand man. If we can get organised, we can really take it to those dirty blacks. And so they have formed a group, the Disciples of Christ. I think they even say, we're not the KKK, we're bigger than the KKK. And they have gone round causing trouble for quite a long time, until Derek found some black guys outside the house one night attempting to steal his truck. So he killed them, he shot them, he curb stomped another one, and quickly got arrested by the police and sent to prison. Meanwhile, Danny who idolises his brother, has followed, going down the same path as his older brother, and has submitted a paper to his Jewish history teacher, My Mein Kampf, about how Adolf Hitler was a great civil rights leader. And the history teacher obviously took offence to this, and thinks that Danny is no better than his older brother, because he actually has a history with this family, as we find out. So he takes this to the high school principal, headmaster, Dr. Benjamin Sisko. No,
is that a Deep Space Nine reference?
Well, it's played by Avery Brooks, so I couldn't help but think that throughout this movie. I do apologise.
Yeah.
Dr. Sweeney, who instead chooses a more optimistic approach of I think Danny can be saved from this. So it says to Danny that I could expel you for this, I could suspend you for this, but I'm willing to give you a chance. So you're going to have your history lessons with me now, and we're going to dub our little sessions together American History X. So that's where the title of the movie comes from. So I want you to write a paper about your older brother, why he's a racist, and the events that have led him to this path, and why you think he's a racist, and I want it by 10 a.m. tomorrow or else. And Danny is like, oh, come on, man. All right, do it. And he's more focused anyway on the fact that Derek is coming out of prison that day after 3 years, and he's looking forward to this. And not only that, but obviously the Disciples of Christ are looking forward to this. His racist best friend is looking forward to it. His racist girlfriend, Dorothy from Return to Oz,
Fairuza Balk.
Yeah, so Everyone's full of joy. And, all right, you're back. And the racist best friend is like, hey, man, I'm glad you're out. We're going to stick it to those black bastards who are going to kill those motherfuckers. Yeah. But Derek is a changed man.
Yeah.
He's a lot more quiet now, a lot more sensitive, and a lot more mature. And he seems very awkward and uncomfortable about with his racist friends.
Yeah.
And in fact, that night, they are throwing a huge party for their great deputy, and which they go to, and it's there that Derek confronts Cameron and says, I quit. Me and my brother, we're getting out of this. I'm done with your racist bullshit. Which doesn't go down too well, as you can imagine. So, but what exactly happened to him during his 3 years in prison? That was a bit long-winded, but that's my plot summary.
Yeah. This is a movie that it's a very key film, I'd say, in late 90s sort of dramas with its subjects. And granted that this is a very controversial subject, given neo-Nazis and the way they treat coloured people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to make a movie like this in that time, that could have been seen as a real huge risk by New Line Cinema, who put this out. And the fact it didn't make too much money compared to what its budget was.
Yeah.
And the fact that I would have to say, watching it, that I can see why Ed Norton became the big star that he is, because he's fantastic in this movie. His performance is great. I wanted to sort of mention, I know you briefly went over it, but what do you think of the violence in this movie regarding the attempted robbery of his vehicle, and then obviously the stomp? The stomp, you don't see it, but you know that it's graphic. You picture it in your head as being something really, really graphic.
It was it was effective.
Yeah, had you ever seen that in a movie before like that?
Either not before in a very, very long time.
Yeah, but I think Ed Norton's performance is great in the film. The relationship he has with his pal in the prison, I think, is really, really touching, and it kind of has a Shawshank Redemption kind of moment in the movie where he's made friends with this gang within the prison, the Aryan Brotherhood or something. Yeah. And basically, if that, he essentially is turning his back on him. But really, that's not a good thing to do in prison, when you really need as many people supporting you as possible, really, in prison to survive.
Yeah.
But no, I think the movie is very underrated. It's a powerful film. It's very well made. I mean, to be honest, the beginning is really strange, because obviously it begins with Derek and his girlfriend having sex, and then only for Danny to walk in the room and then say, there's some black guys outside trying to steal your vehicle, and then he has to sort of get out and get done quickly. But what do you think of the actors in this film? Because you've got so many famous people in this film in little parts. I mean, Beverly D'Angelo plays his mother. You've got Elliot Gould, who plays the Jewish teacher, the one that is kind of dating the mother. And you've got, obviously, Ethan Suplee, who plays the big chubby friend.
The racist best friend, yeah.
And, of course, Stacy Keach as well. I think he's great in this as well.
They're all committed.
And Avery Brooks. What about Avery Brooks? I mean, this is the movie that I associate Avery Brooks with. I don't really know any of his other movies, but obviously I know him from Deep Space Nine like you do.
Well, it took me by surprise, and I don't think I ever quite shook off, like I said, the thinking that's Captain Sisko on screen. But in all seriousness, he's kind of there in a kind of priest mentor capacity, because he's trying to he submits the paper to Danny, and we find out that he's working with the police about the racist group. And we find out he even visited Derek in prison. So as the wise figure of authority, he does his job, and he asks the right questions, very powerful questions, like have any of the decisions you made, the life choices that you've made, have they made you a better person? And Edward or Norton cries, no, it hasn't.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because it seems like this character, Dr. Sweeney, is obviously a big deal, because from the first time you see a sequence, which I think is supposed to be the earliest known memory in the film, which is Ed Norton and Ed Furlong, they're having breakfast with Mum and Dad and the sister at the table when Dad was alive. Yeah, and they're having this conversation about, oh, Sweeney's a good teacher and stuff like that. Sweeney's given me this book to read. He's like, oh, it's it's about this black guy. Or he goes, what? There are no books written by white people. So the father kind of seems like he's bigoted, and it's maybe passed down on to his sons.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think the big message of this movie is how it's actually a complex or thoughtful study of why we're racist, how racist values are passed down in society.
That's what I wanted to say. Do you think that he's basically the way he is because that's how his father has made him sort of side that way and go, this is my belief, so you're going to believe it too?
That's the big twist near the end of this movie, that it wasn't just the fact that he got killed by a black drug dealer. He was already getting racist messages from his father to begin with.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what more I can say about it, but I will say about Ed Norton, which is, this was the movie that I think made him a star, because in 1996, I think it was, he had done a movie called Primal Fear with Richard Gere, another sort of courtroom drama movie in which he plays an altar boy. And I remember watching that at the time and thinking, this guy's going to be a big star. He was really good in the movie. And then I think he did The People versus Larry Flynn after that, and then did this movie. And literally a year later, he did Fight Club, one of his most famous movies.
Yeah.
But in this, I think, I'm really surprised. I think he was nominated. Really surprised that he didn't take away an Oscar.
Yeah.
I don't know what beat it that year. But,
yeah, I'd have to look up what else there was that year. But the fact that it was nominated, I think, is a huge recognition for what a powerful and eloquent and vicious and sympathetic portrayal that this is. I mean, you're expected to feel hatred towards this guy, or you know, contempt or really bad feelings about this guy who's yelling to the Jewish teacher, and you see this. This means not.
Yeah, this means not welcome in my house.
Yeah, and then later on, when he's sorry and tortured and beaten down and humiliated, you're meant to hate and sympathise with him simultaneously, and Edward Norton pulls that off magnificently.
Yeah.
And particularly the near the end, when he's having a shower, and it's it's kind of a thing for this movie that the meaningful moments are done in slow motion. Fair enough, but he's cleansing himself with the shower, but then he sees he's still got the tattoo on his chest.
Well, I suppose
you see the hurt in his eyes when he realises that.
Yeah, well, I suppose that probably leads into the question, which is the director, Tony Kaye, who is a British filmmaker, but he's really more associated with his background of making music videos and adverts for British television. And to be honest, he's only directed, I think, 3 films, and this was his first one. But what's interesting about this movie is that I believe he had made a cut of this film once he finished directing it, and he submitted it, and I think New Line weren't particularly happy about it. Is that right?
I've read that somewhere.
Yeah, so then they brought out a different cut, and he basically said, I don't want my name on this film, so I want to put Alan Smithy as my name on this film. And they said no. He tried to then change it to Humpty Dumpty, which again they said no. So it's a real shame, really, for a directorial debut of a British filmmaker directing a big American movie. I just think that's a mistake. Why would you want to take your name off?
Well, personally, why are you ashamed of this? What was his preferred vision like? Was it in proper sequential order or something?
Because I've read that apparently him and Ed Norton fell out or something.
Well, I could hear Edward Norton can be difficult, so I can understand that.
Yeah. But this is only like one of three. The other movie that I know of that he directed, I don't know the second one, but the third one's called Detachment with Adrian Brody. But like I say, I mean, his directorial career in Hollywood's gone nowhere. Maybe because of trying to get unassociated with this film.
Because of the fuss he caused with Alan Smithy.
So I wonder if he's the sort of person that if you were to go and talk to him and go, wow, I love American History X, I bet he's the sort of person who'd probably go, I don't want to talk about that movie.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame because I think this is a movie that I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, and IMDb don't hold me credit to this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this movie is in the top 250 greatest movies of all time.
It's in Empire Magazine's top 300. I know that. So
it has clearly got an audience there.
It is somewhere in the pantheon of highly regarded movies. Yes.
It's a hard watch. It's not something you can go, wow, I'm going to watch American History X.
I'm going to have a fun, pleasant, feel-good time.
But
no.
I wonder if the X is supposed to represent Malcolm X. Maybe, again, black.
Well, that's the only thing I can think of.
Me too. But I like the film, and I think the relationship between Derek and Danny, the two Eds, I think... it's very believable. You can tell that these are close.
It is actually quite affecting and touching, especially with when they get out of the club and Danny, understandably, is like hot, furious and tearful with him. Like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? And then we get the whole flashback of what happened to him in prison, and then we see Danny's reaction to that and. What happened to his brother.
But again, like with their sister, they're not very nice to the sister. Derek is very, very vulgar and very coarse to his sister's point of view. He's like, fuck off. He's like, what I say is right, you're wrong. Yeah. And he's constantly putting her down. And yet his girlfriend, Fairuza Balk, I mean, there's the moment when she's on his side and she's been waiting for him to come out of prison, and then when he tells her that, this is it for me, she's like, you've gone faggot, haven't you? What the hell happened to you? This isn't the Derek I know, and stuff like that. So she immediately turns on him instantly, immediately squashing all of any of the feelings that she had for him. Yeah. But no, it's a very well made movie, and I think everyone involved in it should be proud that this is something that they can hold up high on their CVs and go, well, we created this, we were part of this film, and hopefully, do you think it would have made an impact in maybe making people change their views on racism?
Well, I can't say that for certain without actually seeing any testimony or hear any personal views about that.
Yeah.
But as a study of racism, it's very eloquent and powerful.
And the style in there as well, the visual style, like you said, with the slow shower scene and the water and the black and white and the colour. I hope that was part of the film structure because it works.
It differentiates it for all the stupid people, the past and the present.
I bet if...
Also, as an artistic statement of a black and white world, like black and white views, that's good. That's a good stylistic call.
I wonder if Memento may have taken some inspiration from it too, with some of its black and white scenes in that as well, relating to the past.
Maybe. I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. But anything else you want to sum up about American History X?
Well, I think I just reiterate again. Edward Norton. It's a powerful central performance, but also the dialogue and all the other actors that you've pointed out all play a huge part in carrying this story. And the way it ends is without spoiling it. I did think, because I've heard it was quite shocking, or was it on a banned list, or it was caught in controversy with its rating. It was seen as a shocking, disturbing movie back then, I've heard.
Okay.
Feel free to correct me. And I thought, oh, is it the extreme language? But then a certain death scene happens, and okay, oh blimey,
yeah.
And this is before certain gun laws were passed, I think, or before that conversation in schools happened.
Yeah, this was before Columbine and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really great film. I think if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's a very, very good film. I know we're talking a little bit somber there, but like I say, I mean,
it's ultimately a somber movie.
Yeah. So I suppose that's American History X for this episode. Okay, Twister Spinner time. So hopefully on the Twister Spinner, hopefully it will pick something interesting for the next episode. So without further ado, let's spin that wheel.
Something to cheer me up.
Yes. It's landed on sci-fi.
Yeah.
You like your sci-fis?
I do like my sci-fis.
So we're going with, for sci-fi, the 1984 movie, 35th anniversary this year, The Last Starfighter.
Oh, well, at least that'll be more of a romp than this.
So thank you everybody for checking out today's video. What do you guys think of American History X? What do you think of Ed Norton's performance? Do you think it's his best? Feel free to leave us comments, let us know what you think. Don't forget to check out the Facebook, Instagram and Twitter pages, and check out other series on Matt's Movies, Music and More on our YouTube channel with Andrew's at the Movies with Andrew. He's got all the latest movies, he'll talk about all that for you. I've got my solo videos as well as some other upcoming shows coming up over the next couple of weeks or so. So yeah, thanks everybody, all the very best. And what would you like to say to end this?
Yeah, a line of dialogue from this movie.
If possible.
Not without getting this YouTube video demonetized, I'm sorry.
That's probably a good idea. Thank you very much everybody, all the very best to you. Bye bye.